Now, despite being a tech YouTuber since the Ottomans ruled Cairo, my only experience with VR so far has been a headset I bought off AliExpress for like 40 bucks, which in comparison made the Nintendo Virtual Boy seem like a real advanced piece of non-vomit inducing tech. But today, that changes. But first, today's video is sponsored by Be Quiet super high value PureWing 3 fans, but now available in white. So you can add some contrast to a build, shower your waifu graphics card in some color coordinated fans, or even, very topically, use it to add some wind effect to your VR gaming. Available in both 120 and 140mm, both of which is available in a high speed finger destroying variant. So if you're looking for some high performance fans for a good price, check out the Be Quiet PureWing 3s now available in white using the link down below. Now there is a lot to consider when choosing a VR headset. Do you want a standalone headset, or do you want to be umbilical corded to a system? And if so, which platform do you want it to work with? And should you get the vibrating codpiece? Actually, the answer to that question is really straightforward. It's 100% yes. But then aside from stuff like that, there's also price point. Because if you're the heir to a sugar fortune, it's a lot easier to decide. In fact, it's the easiest to decide if you have no sense of value for money. Then you should just get the Apple one. But after ages trying to decide, I ended up going with what most reviewers seem to consider a very good first mid-range VR headset. Although, straight off the bat, there's a pretty big problem with it. Wait, I have to give this guy money to get one? Which unfortunately meant I was chundering before even trying the headset. Now, the main alternative I was considering was the PSVR 2, which on paper seems very promising, but it's not compatible with PC. And once they release the little doohickey that makes it compatible with PC, you're gonna lose like most of its functionality. And that combined with the fact that the one game I want to try with the PSVR 2 isn't compatible with the only reason I wanted to try VR in the first place. Okay, well, there are the little bits of plastic that you interact with virtual things using. They kind of feel like Chromecast remotes. And then you get some charging accessories. Ooh. Now on the little graphic, they do show glasses compatibility, although I can see close to me, so maybe I don't need glasses for this headset. Oh, here's the supposedly terrible stock strap I've heard so much about. But I'm a big boy, I can make up my own mind about it. Whoa, there's so many sensors on it. Facebook can peer deep into my soul using this thing. Now, in terms of specs, the Quest 3 has quite a lot going for it, with relatively high resolution displays, good optics in front of those displays, and with its high refresh rate options and reasonable field of view, it should give a pretty good first-time VR experience for a noob like me. And aside from the games that it can run on its own hardware, it should also work pretty well for PC VR. Although the moment I tried to fire it up, I ran into a bit of an issue. Now the QR code immediately worries me because as far as I understand it, you need a Facebook account to use one of these, and because I'm not 72 years old, I don't have Facebook, so I'm gonna probably have to make an account for it. Meta Quest app, and we've got 3 stars. It's a good start. But luckily, I could set up a Meta account without using Facebook. So all that was left between me and some VR action was passive-aggressively setting up a Meta account. But before I could try out the headset, it took surprisingly long to adjust it to a point where it didn't feel like a facehugger savaging me. Oh, it's very loose. Oh, but it's so... wait a minute. Oh... The combination of glasses and long hair is a nightmare for this. Oh, like that. I do actually need my glasses in here. Wow, being blind is really inconvenient. Okay, so I've spent a bunch of time playing around with various settings, and my main takeaway here is you're really boned if you're a glasses wearer. Okay, so now I can see an absurdly grainy image of my surroundings. It looks like I'm looking at the world around me through a phone from 2005. But then after completing the setup process, I was real impressed by my first impressions. Whoa, it's so... It's so not HD. I feel like my eyes aren't very happy with what's happening here. Whoa, you can really see like the render quality change. Oh, there's a mirror and I have legs now. The default avatar when you didn't make your own is terrifying. So I decided to try a game to take my mind off my weird blank avatar. Oh, got both of them. Oh, that's a bomb. Oh yeah, no. Blueberry is safe. I guess this is like loser Beat Saber. Well, the graphics are pretty terrible. But I guess it's a phone game from 28 years ago, so that makes sense. Let me take this off. Oh. So it's been all of, what, 5 minutes? And I already feel like I've been railed by a display. Like, the fidelity is so much lower than I was expecting. But the thing is, I guess that it makes sense for something like the Meta Quest because it's running the games on hardware in the headset, right? And it's a very high resolution, so it's not going to be able to make, wow, that building looks like a penis. So I guess now I need to figure out how to plug it into a PC so that we can get some real hardware behind it. Ugh. Hopefully this bad boy's enough. And this beast will be powering the whole reason I'm trying VR now after all these years, sim racing. After I did my video on this insane track racer cockpit with Moza gear in it, a video which you should check out, I'll have it linked down below if you haven't seen it yet. The moment I sat in this insane rig, I knew that this very tactile experience was theoretically a match made in heaven for VR. And now that I've added a manual gear shifter, there's even more metal to grab onto. And some keyboard stand action. Now this is the real reason I wanted to try VR. Honestly, I'm not particularly bothered with any of the other uses for it because this is the one that makes the most sense to me. Because you've got physical inputs that correlate very accurately with what's happening in game. You even have force feedback that makes you feel what the car's doing. So in my mind, it should be a lot more convincing than pretending a plastic controller is an AK-47 or whatever. Let's pop on the headset and see how hard Assetto Corsa is to get running in VR. Not easy, apparently. There were a bunch of steps, most of which involved just getting the Quest 3 to associate with Steam, but once we were done with the setup process, I was real excited. Oh, there's a steering wheel. That's a bit weird, because I can see the gear lever on my right-hand side, but you like lean down and it's left here. I need a less stupid cable. Oh, that's very exciting. Oh, this is very, very cool. The graphics aren't amazing. It is a very old game though, so it does make sense. I should have chosen a much easier track, but I like look down and there's car to the right, and I hear car, I feel car. There's gears happening, even though the gear lever is on the wrong side. It does feel still like I'm wearing scuba gear, but I could reasonably be wearing a helmet so that when crashing happens, I don't die. I feel like the game could have better graphics. Like, it's clearly a virtual world that I'm driving in. But I mean, you look down and there's a little bit of dirt on the glass in front of the speedometer. But I mean, that's the really cool thing about it, right? Is you're like looking at the switches on the dashboard and there's what looks like fuses over there. You can actually examine the inside of this spectacular vehicle. Because you've got depth perception, you have a much better sense of speed than you have with just a flat display. It's not the highest resolution stuff that's happening here, but I'm gonna have to play around with settings and see if I can get it better. That first impression got me real excited, but it was clear there were a bunch of issues I needed to fix for me to be happy with the experience. Problem number one, and the first thing I wanted to solve, was the head strap. This stock strap is as bad as people say, especially when you have glasses. It's really difficult to get this anywhere near to being comfortable. Now, the first replacement I tried was this Razer one, which cost about 100 Canadian dollars. And the reason I wanted to try this one first was because the back of the strap seemed quite low profile for like sitting back in a chair and stuff. But this strap also sucks. I don't know how Razer can think this is worth $100. Maybe it's due to the shape of my head or something, but I can't get this to sit anywhere near comfortably, and then it just feels very similar to this strap. But luckily, after a couple of days, my local Best Buy managed to find one of these Elite straps, and this is a huge improvement over the stock strap and that terrible Razer strap, which actually costs the same amount as this one. Now, I don't know why Meta doesn't just ship the Quest 3 with this strap, because it makes a huge difference to the user experience. You can just slip it on, and then it's got this ratchet in the back, which you can use to adjust the fit, and then it just sits well, even with glasses on. But that brings me to problem number 2. Glasses turn a VR headset into an Iron Maiden-esque torture device. Let me take this off. And the extent of the torture depends on the glasses you're wearing. This pair, for example, seems to fit okay in the Quest 3, but the pair that I have on now has a slightly higher frame, and it just doesn't fit at all in the headset. Luckily, there is a solution which, again, unfortunately costs money, but you can buy some of these Zenny lenses, which takes your prescription, and then they're just like magnetic clip-on lenses which fit onto the headset, and then you don't have to deal with a cumbersome frame in the headset. Oh, on a quick side note, use an app to measure your IPD so that you can set it correctly in the headset. That helped quite a bit. Problem number 3. Quest Link connectivity issues. Now initially I could use this random Quest Link cable to connect to the PC fine, I wasn't really having any issues with it, but I was having a bunch of other issues with my sim racing PC, so I decided to reinstall Windows on that system, after which Quest Link completely broke down, at least via a cable. I ended up buying like 3 different cables, none of which the Meta app on my PC would even recognize. I then tried it on a completely different system which gave me the same problem. How is it still not working? After days of struggling, it turns out I had to factory reset the Meta Quest 3 because for some reason the USB connectivity on it just broke. AirLink was still fine, but if you wanted to plug it in via cable, it just refused to work. But after I did the factory reset, everything was fine. In fact, generally, the Quest 3 seems to be quite finicky about connecting to a PC, and there's often a whole bunch of issues you have to deal with. It's quite an annoying process, to be honest. And I think it just shows that if your main use case is going to be to connect to your PC, you probably shouldn't get a Quest. And the final, arguably biggest problem I had was just getting VR content to not look like butt cheeks. And that's even putting aside the metaverse that looks like it was rendered at 240p and stretched onto the display. I was even struggling with PC VR. There's like a visual artifact that like kills it for me. I can't look past it. Take Assetto Corsa, for example. I had to massively upscale that game over the native resolution of the Meta Quest 3 for me to get a clear, non-pixelated view of the track around me. Even at the lower settings, the interior was nice, sharp, and detailed, but everything outside of the car would have that same metaversiness. And then once I finally found aggressive enough upscaling settings for the outside to be as sharp as the interior, you immediately notice that none of the textures are designed with that super high resolution in mind. Which makes sense. Assetto Corsa is quite an old game, but it wasn't just Assetto Corsa. Dirt Rally 2, Automobili, I think is how you pronounce that. And the problem with the newer games is that because the games are more demanding, you don't really have performance headroom to run it at like 8K oversampled or whatever. And aside from the jaggies, there were other visual issues like distracting motion rendering and struggles with contrast. It doesn't deal with shade very well. The visuals fall apart pretty hard when it's dark, like with big contrast jumps. It doesn't like it. In fact, it's been 2 weeks of me doing quite a lot of VR gaming, not just sim racing. And the only game or general use case, to be honest, that really blew me away visually was Half-Life Alyx. Oh, that's real HD. See, this is looking way better. Oh, hand. It doesn't have that weird like haze artifact in the distance. Oh damn, there's some like math on the window there, very exciting. Okay, so I can add to the math. There we go, and because of how detailed those environments were, I just spent ages examining them. There's some serious XLR looking connectors on that. Can I throw it at the pigeon? Yes, I can, but I just need to throw better. Oh, that was a pretty good throw. This is the first thing I've interacted with in the last, like, day and a half that hasn't been wildly disappointing. Every other game looked in some varying degree like it wasn't rendered in the correct resolution. And that feeling would be exacerbated when I take off the headset and look at my 27-inch 4K display. Everything would be so much sharper and there wouldn't be just huge amounts of jaggies on everything like there was in most games on the Quest 3. And this is something that I've never really heard other people complain about much when they're doing VR videos, so yeah, maybe I just had way too high an expectation coming into it, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed by how most content looked on it. So in conclusion, my first experience with VR was both really exciting and pretty disappointing. The fact that you can be dropped in the middle of your favorite game with actual depth perception is really cool. Fighting a Group B monster around a circuit in Dirt Rally 2 in this amazing racing sim is just that much more immersive in VR. It's an awesome experience. But despite Meta spending billions of dollars on research a year, I can't help but feel like the tech is still in its infancy. Now maybe that's a me issue, maybe it's a Quest 3 issue, I'm not sure, but yeah. Which brings me to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and until the next one, bye bye.